funds from criminal activity. All right. At that point, everything was fine. But then you had unscrupulous ADA or DA. I'm not familiar with all the fine points of the case, but he went in and used that house for personal gain. He might as well have stole it. He might as well have stole the money. Shame on him, and prosecute him to the fullest extent of the law. But don't say all the law enforcement. Don't say the asset forfeiture process is wrong because of it. There wasn't anything wrong with the asset forfeiture process. I'll get to you in just a minute, sir. There wasn't anything wrong with the asset forfeiture process. It was that crook they had in a position to take advantage of it, and he took advantage of the asset after it had went through the process, been forfeited by the courts, had all the due process, that the judge forfeited it to law enforcement. That crook allegedly, again, I'm not familiar enough with it to give you all the fine details on it, but if he took advantage of his position, that wouldn't have been any different than a law enforcement officer going out and stopping a vehicle and doing what the senator's accusing us of doing, stop the vehicle, taking money out and putting it in our pocket. Shame on anybody that would do that. Shame on anybody that would tarnish their badge. Shame on anybody that would betray the trust and faith that you people have or should have in law enforcement. But that's what the undersheriff was trying to say. It wasn't the asset forfeiture process. It was that person, if he did that, it made him a crook. And it's no different than the three senators that in the back of that handout I gave you. There's some bad apples in every bunch. Very, very, very few bad apples. But we don't discard the whole program, the whole process because of a few bad apples. We know as human beings that there's only one person that ever walked this earth that was perfect, and we crucified him. Don't crucify this program just because we got a few bad apples in it. No more than you crucify the legislature because of the senators and the representatives that have committed crimes within the legislature. That doesn't mean our legislative process. No more than that ADA, if that's what you want to call him. I call him a crook. But no more than he makes the whole asset forfeiture process bad.
Okay, Randy, let's stop here and take some questions.
Okay. I told this gentleman back here.
I'll get to him in just a minute. Chris, if you would come on up, I'm going to let you guys be a human shield for each other. So they don't stand behind the other. The first question I want to ask you, do you understand that you are swimming in shark-infested waters today?
I don't believe that.
Let me do this. Neil, I'm going to ask you if you would stand up. Neil is a former police officer. How many former military vets do we have in here? Please stand up. Please stand up. How many wives of veterans are in this room? Would you please stand up? Wives of veterans. How many had children? Go ahead and stand up, Linda. Your husband's a veteran. He's standing over you. You have to stand with him. How many of you have children who are vets or currently serving? Please stand up. How many of you have parents who served in the military, in law enforcement, fire department, anything? Okay, that's the room. Thank you, guys. You can sit down. So you are swimming with the diamond in the thorns. These are the guys that. What are you doing standing up, dude? Oath takers.
We're all oath takers.
There you go. But these are the ones who who are law enforcement people, they don't jump on law enforcement every time something goes wrong. So you understand that from the get-go. We're gonna take some questions, and I'm gonna ask you to keep these to questions, please. If you start to make a long political statement, I'm gonna take the microphone and walk away and go to the next person. We're taking questions right now. Please give your first name. Stand up, please.
Well, my first name is Dave, and you mentioned a few minutes ago you called that individual who took advantage of the seized house as unscrupulous, I think was your term, but there was nothing wrong with the process. If the process sent those seized items elsewhere to any other agency or to any other account, be it the general fund or whatever, you would eliminate the desire or the incentive for law enforcement, be it the top sheriffs, like those, as well as the DAs, to find a way or find uses for that kind of.
Make it a question, please.
Yeah, make it quick.
Make it a question.
I was working on that, but if you're not going to let me talk about it, that's all right.
Ask the question.
That's what
Okay,
this part of the
let me
program is,
answer
ask
his
a question.
question. Let me answer his question,
Okay.
and I understand, sir, what you're getting at. It would eliminate the portion of the process by sending the assets to the state for it to be unscrupulously handled by local authorities. Sir, I'm trying to answer what.
I was never actually able to ask my question.
You made a good.
And what's really strange to me is that we can have this group, and I've been coming to this group for quite a while. I'm actually not able to ask.
Okay, we're done with this,
So we're gonna have
please.
you,
We're
just
done.
talk to
Somebody
us,
have a
not allow us
question?
to respond.
Okay, we have a question
Well,
here.
sir, okay.
This is
I'll
a
go ahead.
question, please.
I'm gonna finish answering that question, whether he's here or not. He posed it, and it needs to be
Okay, go ahead.
addressed. Irregardless, if the assets were to go to the state, is the state perfect? I've showed you that the state's not perfect. It could be handled unscrupulously by crooks just as easily at the state level as it is the law enforcement local level. And who better to get the funds from the drug cartels and fund the programs with than the law enforcement that's out there actually doing the job. But sure, that whether you're on the local level or whether or not it goes to the state, it's still going to be, those funds are still going to be available to be misused. It's just different set of people.
Okay, I just want everybody to understand, we didn't just make the rules up today. This is the way High Noon operates. When we have a special guest come in, we allow that guest to make their speech, and we ask them questions. If you want to make a speech, apply to Bob or me, and we'll set up a time that you can have the platform, and then we'll ask you questions. But in all fairness, when we have a special guest, we ask questions. So this is you ask us your question.
Okay, can cops lie to make a case?
Can they lie to make a case?
Yes.
Not a good cop, no.
Lie to who?
To anybody?
Sure, that's
Expound
how,
on your question. What do you
No,
mean?
the Supreme Court ruled that the police can lie to make a case.
oh, can we lie to
Trick,
suspects?
trick,
Can we
whatever you
trick
wanna call it, yeah.
suspects? Can we
You're talking
go?
about entrapment.
I'm talking about entrapment. Yeah,
That's-
It's legal for cops to do that.
Yeah.
That's where you guys lost the case.
Let him answer, okay?
Yeah, that's where you guys lost it with the American
Go
public.
ahead and answer the question, please. Thank you.
The courts have ruled in order for law enforcement to, majority of the time, work undercover to be effective in a lot of the programs they have, the drug task force working undercover in drugs. We've all seen.
I'm talking about the
Shoot, let him
blue
answer.
officer, police officer come right up to you.
Please let him
Lie.
answer, okay? Just wait till he finishes.
In order to prosecute and find the guilty party and
Everybody's guilty.
prostitution, burglaries, can you, and I'll go back to the example, working undercover, representing yourself, in terms of somebody that you're not, yes, they've upheld that the same as law, an accepted practice in any other area of law enforcement.
Here's another question.
I'd like to make a comment.
Go ahead.
You know, we're really involved in internet
Please, use the
crimes.
microphone.
Everybody, I don't know if y'all know or not, but the sheriff's really big into internet crimes against children. We have a special task force. We get a lot of child predators. We arrested one just last week, and I was visiting with Lieutenant Adam Flowers, who's the main investigator on that. And we made the arrest, and during the text messages and the email conversation, the man asked if he was a police officer. And he said no. Because his internet profile was a 14-year-old Mustang girl. And as the guy got closer, he's getting closer and closer coming to me, he says, "Are you sure you're not a police officer?" And is it legal for him to lie and tell him? Yes, it's the same as the undercover narcotics guy that grows long hair and a beard and he's buying dope from bad people. Okay? Now, when I'm in my uniform and I'm dealing with the public up front, no, it's unacceptable to lie to you.
But it's legal.
You know who I am, I know who you are. We're dealing with things that are up front, traffic violations, rape calls, whatever the case may be. There's no deception there. That's the reason that you have a uniform and a badge on, okay? It's honesty, integrity, character, morality, all those things. But when you start going into undercover operations and dealing with criminal activities such as internet crimes against children, protecting our youth, yes, it is lawful. Yes, it is.
You just avoided the whole
Hold on
question.
just a
Can
second.
you
If you have
lie
another
in
question-
that uniform?
If you have another question, raise your hand, I'll come back. You're done for now.
Yeah.
Jim.
Yeah, done.
Sheriff, my name is Jim. Thank you for being here today. Sir, is it possible for you to say, of all the monies that your department spends during a year, fiscal year, what percentage comes from ad valorem taxes in your county? What percentage comes from, let's say, federal grants or what other sources? And what percentage comes through this civil forfeiture process?
Of $6.5 million budget, approximately $5.5 million of that to $5.75 million of that comes from ad valorem taxes. That leaves approximately $750,000 that I supplement out of my cash funds to run my office with. Out of that $750,000 to sometimes over $1 million. Sometimes, I think last year it was like $900,000 that the county ad valorem taxes fell short, and I needed about another $900,000 last year to run the jail in my office with. Those come out of the sheriff's cash funds, and those cash funds are derived from a lot of different places. Serving papers at $50 a paper, citations, I think we get all of $15 for a citation. State gets the rest of that. And our commissary program at the jail, where an inmate buys a candy bar, he gives $1 for it. We might get 40% of it. They make a telephone call. If they pay $1 for the telephone call, we get 60 cents of it. Our asset forfeitures, they have averaged, since I've been sheriff, approximately $400,000 a year. So you can see how much of that deficit is made up from asset forfeitures. But let me say this, and I'll make this statement, and I'm proud to stand here flat-footedly and tell you this. I'll take all the drug cartel money I can get. And for every dollar I take, it saves you $1 worth of tax payers' dollars. For every dollar of theirs I take, I use it against them, and that cuts them